Hello, Four Chains. Welcome back to the Four Chains Travel. And today we will be talking about
Shore excursions. Now, this video in particular was Angie's idea. I'm going to go ahead and sit down and show you my system. She came in the room when I had this elaborate setup to book the excursions on our next two cruises and said it was a video. And, I thought about it for a minute and I thought, this is actually the perfect video for what we do because 95% of the stuff that we talk about falls into the same bucket. We, Angie and I, are trying to get you, the subscribers, the best possible travel experiences, but also allow you to spend the least amount of your hard-earned money to enjoy those experiences. And shore excursions, wow, this process has been a real eye-opener. I got an email because we subscribe to all the cruise ship emails, of course, and it reported that a major cruise line, and I'm saying major cruise line because I'm not naming it because it could apply to essentially any major cruise line except maybe Virgin because Virgin wraps it all into the cruise fare. But this cruise line had $9 billion in revenue for the year, and that was for cruise fares. It had an additional $7 billion in revenue for extras. And that was really surprising because a lot of you guys, a lot of the subscribers we've heard from, they refuse to pay extra for things on a cruise because it's supposed to be all inclusive. Now, if you cruise a lot, you know it is absolutely not all inclusive, or at least that's a very broad definition. But it is possible to get by with just the cruise fare. That is something that you can do. But for most people, that must not be the case if there's $7 billion in extra. And then I started researching more, and I found lots of people, when I put it out there, spent more money on excursions sometimes than the actual fare for their cruise and their food and their drink and all of that put together. You can wind up paying an enormous amount of money or not. And that's what we're going to tell you about today. Now, when booking cruise excursions, there are a lot of things you have to consider. The first one, obviously, we just referenced is price. The main reason I say that is because you have the possibility of booking the exact same excursion provided by the exact same provider, but pay wildly different prices depending on who you are booking it with. And then in addition to that, you have to consider this particular excursion. If you take a little bit of time and look into it, you're going to know that whether this excursion is something that you want to do at this port at this time of year. That's very important. You don't want to have a situation where you're back on the cruise and however you felt about your excursion, you talk to somebody who did an excursion you would have enjoyed a lot more, and possibly they paid less money for it. You certainly don't want to fall into that trap. And then, of course, you have to worry about excursions are supposed to add joy. You don't want it to add stress. So in other words, this has to be an excursion that you are going to be able to comfortably board based on when your cruise ship arrives in port. And then more important, comfortably be returned to the ship with plenty of time to re-embark without being stressed or even worse, being one of those peer runners. You may want to be in one of our videos. You don't want to be in one of our videos as a peer runner, that's for sure. And it happens all the time. So we're going to make sure we check all those boxes, plus a lot of other boxes that you may not have considered in this process. Okay, so we have two laptops here, okay? It is possible to do it with just two laptops. But to be honest with you, when Angie walked in on me, I was using two laptops and a television, but I want to make this easy. A lot of our subscribers are retirement travelers, so they may not be in a situation where they can have three devices. So two devices is doable. I just happen to use three. So this is what I did. On this particular one, this is where I bring up all of the options. Now, today, this isn't just a theoretical thing where we're guessing you can do that. I'm going to take you through the actual process of us booking these shore excursions. And I have three sites pulled up. This is the Celebrity Cruise. This is one of the cruises we're going to. It is the Celebrity Ascent. It is a 14-day cruise, and as you can see, there are lots of options here. If you are going to book with them, you should certainly book before you go to save a little bit of money based on how much it will cost on the ship. Never book it on the ship, just like you never book a drink package or a Wi-Fi package or dining or anything like that. So you can see these prices, but even though these are discounted, is that the discount you want? Okay, here's two other sites. Venture Ashore. Once again, this is the same Celebrity Ascent. It's got the ports. You click on the ports and you can see what sort of tours they have. And then similar to that is Shore Excursions Group. Now, this one is our Cunard Queen Victoria cruise that we're going to take. And, it has the stops for that. You can see it's a little more dense because it's not a repositioning cruise. Okay, Angie, let's rotate here. This is the other device. Now, what I have on here is I have a Microsoft Word document where I've made a lot of notes. Before I even got to computer number one, I created this document. How did I create this document? Well, this might sound self-serving, but YouTube, of course. Now, I would love it if you would go to our site. Let me bring that back up. If you would go to our site and check our videos to be able to know which ones to go to, that would be awesome. But I'm going to be awesome. I'm going to be honest with you guys. There's other sites that you should go to too, and I went to those other sites. Here's an example, Brian and Carrie. Brian and Carrie have a great website. We've mentioned it before here on this channel. And they, for instance, were in Split, Croatia. Split, Croatia is one of the stops we're going to have, one of the ports on the Queen Victoria. They were there for 2 months, so they really know the town. It's not just a YouTuber that was there for one day and made a video about their experiences. So I find it very enlightening, but also they have the ability, they're really honest vloggers, and they have the ability to give you the positive and the negative, whereas a lot of vloggers will act like every single thing that ever happened in every port and hotel and flight was amazing. They don't do that, and I appreciate it. Another one is John and Bev from Retirement Travelers. They are the reason why we wanted to find a cruise and stop in Gibraltar, because they stopped in Gibraltar, and their interactions with the monkeys on that rock just sounded awesome, and it's definitely something that instantly came on my bucket list. And John and Bev are also very, very honest, and they really want to make things better. So you watch the YouTube channels, you make yourself a document, whether it's on Word or notes or anything like that. And then in addition to that, I also have YouTube playing in the background when I am looking at these three sites. So let's get right to it. I'm actually going to book these shore excursions, and you can see how I do it, and you can just follow this pattern, and it can really work out for you.
Okay, let's show you the actual process in action. We're going to start with our Queen Victoria cruise. This is our absolute favorite Cunard ship, mostly because of its ports of call and how they relate to the greatest TV show of all time, Game of Thrones. This cruise is leaving August 18th and arriving August 25th. It leaves from Barcelona and arrives in Trieste, Italy. Once again, if you're new to the channel, we tell you in advance about our travels because everything's a meetup if you want to hang out. Okay, I've made some notes here. The first stop, Malta. I want to go on this 3-city tour because there's a lot of Game of Thrones stuff. And the same thing with Split. And you can see my other notes there. So I'm going to click on Malta on Shore Excursions Group. So we're going to see here, there's 2 port stops in Malta, not for this ship, but just in general. And we're stopping at Valletta, which is the capital. All right, we got a moderate energy here. It's 4 hours in duration. You can see an issue right off the bat here. It's 8:40. The cruise arrives in port at 8 o'clock, so 8:40 is cutting it close. We're definitely going to have to be one of the first people off the ship. But if you look at the agenda over there on the left hand of the screen, it is exactly what we want. We want to see those sites. I think there's marine and King's Landing and all kinds of stuff that's associated with those. So this looks like the kind of tour that we would want to do. And at $48, that's a bargain. Let's see if Venture Ashore has something similar at a better possible price here. So I'm going to click on that, and we're going to go down here and look at all of these. They have private tours. We're going to talk about why you can charge a premium for private tours, but essentially it's a reaction to some of the nightmares when you book a tour through the cruise. Okay, we're going to click on an option here. The price is different. When I clicked on it, you might have noticed, because you have to get a minimum amount of people. If you get more people, the price per person is down. The cruise looks very similar. It's the cruise excursion. It's going to where we want. It's also 4 hours. But in this case, I don't really want to have a situation where I'm going to get a lot of people together unless it's a trip specifically for subscribers. But I do like those departure times. I would rather leave at 9:30 than 8:40. And it tells you here that you leave on all days. That's something that I really like about Venture Ashore. Okay, we're going to check Cunard. They have a similar 3-city deal. You can see here it's $62. So that's more expensive. It is shorter, though. You can see it's 3.5 hours. So I'm not sure we're going to get the same thing. So let's move on to Split, Croatia. Now, there's a couple things I want to do. Maybe the Grand Diocletian Tour. This is an amazing experience according to the videos I've seen. It's a 2-hour thing, and it's moderate. That's something that I would love to see. But then again, there's a Game of Thrones walking tour. That's a little bit more expensive. That's $48 on Shore Excursions. And when we look at it, it is hitting the things that we would like, the sites that we would like, and 2 hours and 30 minutes, but activity level is easy. A lot of people brag about the tour guide, and these are recent reviews, although in general I would rather look at a TripAdvisor review than one that's actually for the site selling it. Now, here's Venture Ashore. We're going to see if they have something similar at a similar price. Now, by the way, I can tell you in advance, spoiler, there is no one way of doing it. In this particular situation, their Diocletian tour is cheaper, but in the last one, the Shore Excursions version of the 3-city tour was cheaper. I'm not sure whether you noticed. But of course, if you're going to Cunard, it is going to be more expensive. $75 for the Game of Thrones tour. We're looking to see if it's even similar. It is almost 4 hours. It says activity level high. So, and the other one mentioned the activity level is less. So I'm not sure really why that is, but it's not too big a difference. All right. You may have noticed I used some colorful language. I didn't know you were going to see it, that Zadar tours were expensive. You see the walking tour here, $69, and you're saying, well, that's not too expensive. Well, as you're going to see when we talk about not doing a shore excursion, when we talk about the alternative, a lot of times you can get walking tours for free. So you're looking here, on both sites, all the tours are expensive. Let's switch to Celebrity Ascent. Oh man, are we excited about this? It's a repositioning cruise, October 31st to November 13th. And it is an absolutely amazing ship. Supposedly, we have not been on it. And we are going to, it leaves from, it says Rome, but as we've talked about in previous videos, that's Civitavecchia. This is the cabin that we are going to be staying in, and it arrives in Fort Lauderdale. If you have Amex Platinum, Fort Lauderdale does have global entry, so your exit from the ship is really quick, so that's something I love. We look at the notes here. Normally, any stop in Italy, because we speak Italian and we know Italy so well, we don't ever do tours. But boy, Gibraltar, I want to see those apes, and I also want to see St. Michael's Cave. Thank you once again to Retirement Travelers for that reference. And then in Bermuda, maybe I want to snorkel. We talked before about this time of year at this port. We love snorkeling. But in November, do you want to be snorkeling in Bermuda? If it's 80 degrees, yes. If it's below 76, I probably don't. Okay, let's skip right ahead to Gibraltar here. And this is the shore excursions. We want to see whether they have one of these tours here where you can see the apes and all of that, and also, of course, St. Michael's Cave. It looks to me like maybe this original rock tour. It's $85. It leaves at 12:30. That's a good, comfortable departure time. I'm not worried about making it there, so that's definitely a plus. We're going to scroll down here, and yes, as you see, it includes the monkeys, but also St. Michael's Cave, which is something that I really want to see. They drop you off in the dining center, bustling town center. I don't think you want to do a lot of shopping there because almost everybody who's there is going to be a tourist. This is 2 hours long. I always clock all this information because I want to see whether it is comparable when I check the other sites. Now look at this. Guests are responsible for making their own way down the pier. At Midtown Couch Park, I happen to know that the Coach Park, this actually is doable, but that's something you want to watch out for. Now, wait a minute. In this case, it's the reverse. It's only $58 also for a 2-hour tour. Let's see if it includes all of the things that we want when you book it through Venture Ashore. Okay, air conditioning, transportation. You go to the Nature's Reserve. That's where the apes are not necessarily in the wild, semi-wild, I would call it. And as you can see from the explanation there, it does include St. Michael's Cave. It warrants 75 steps, but we can certainly do that. And as you can see, the difference here is it leaves from the cruise port but comes back to Main Street or directly to the port. It has multiple departure times. So in this case, it seems like a better tour, and it's actually less expensive. It does leave every day, so we don't really have to worry about that. If you look on booking it directly with Celebrity, it is going to be considerably more expensive, and it does look like a similar tour. It does hit St. Michael's Cave. But you're paying, an extra $25. That's a huge percentage. Now, it's repositioning, so there's a lot of sea days. You're definitely going to want to get off at Bermuda, whether you do a tour or not. So we're going to look at this. As you recall, I am looking for snorkeling tours because that would be what I want to do. You see, a lot of these tours are very expensive. That complete island tour, it says likely to sell out. Yeah, probably because it's $99. But look how these are hundreds of dollars, and it did not have a snorkeling tour. So now we are going to check Venture Ashore to see if they have a snorkeling tour. Of course, it's possible Shore Excursions Group didn't have a snorkeling tour because it is going to be November 10th when that drops. Okay. So they do have a snorkeling tour. It is $97. It is 3 hours long, and it is going to the shipwrecks. Now, that's very important because the shipwrecks are where I want to snorkel in Bermuda. So we're going to look at the details here. It includes the snorkel equipment. That is not always the case when you do an independent tour, although when you book it with the ship line, it almost always is the case. So gives you the vest, the flotation devices, the snorkeling tour, and it also hits the shipwrecks. So that's something I like. There's only one choice there, unless, of course, there is a better deal booking directly with the cruise ship as long as you are meeting the cruise ship, as long as you are booking it before. And now, $82.99. So this is actually, you can see, if you book it on the cruise, it's the same price. But before, it's actually cheaper. So is this a good deal? 3 hours and 30 minutes? Well, start to look at the details here. I don't see any about anything about the shipwrecks, and it talks about a relaxing beach. So I'm afraid that this is a situation where essentially they're taking you to a beach. It says it brags about the shallow waters. I don't think that's a good deal. You know what is a good deal? What's in port? It has over 1,200 ports of call, and this is what you use when you can't find a port. Remember how I colorfully said that Zadar, everything was way too expensive? That doesn't necessarily mean you stay on the ship. If you're not going to do a cruise excursion 100% of the time, you should go to this website because it tells you everything about the port. It gives you all of the information that you need to explore it on its own, including that printable map. And by the way, when you print the map, you don't necessarily have to take a paper version of it. You can go ahead and take a screenshot of it and just have it on your phone. I think that's really good advice. And as you can see, there's tons of good advice on here that you can take advantage of. Including like what to buy, but look, some things are free. Remember that walking tour that was expensive? There's a free one for Zadar. There are a lot of free walking tours in almost every tourist town. Now, of course, I would feel obligated to tip the person if they do a good job. And here's Cagliari. Now, Cagliari is in Italy, so we don't pay for excursions in Italy, but there is a free shuttle bus. You will not believe the amount of shore excursions that seem cheap, and you will discover it is literally just transportation to and from the town that you're going. Here's that free walking tour. That gives you the currency, a lot of. Now, here's something I want to show you. This is a private tour we took, and it turned out it was only 4 people. One thing you should know is independent tour companies, the average amount of people on them is 7. The average amount on a cruise ship tour is 24. That is almost triple. Look at this. This is 3 feet of water. Look at this stingray. It is so close, and the fact that there was only 4 of us is probably what brought it around. It's not like a Cayman Islands experience where you have 200 people there and you know that they're going to come, but it's not in the wild. We also saw sea turtles and more stingrays on that tour, and that tour was a situation where it was just Angie and I. That's right. One thing that is possible when you book with a regular cruise excursion place as opposed to booking with the ship is you may wind up getting a private tour because nobody else books it. That's never going to be the case with a cruise ship because if it's only you and your partner, they're going to cancel that excursion because there's no profit in it with them. So in the end, I think the lesson is unless you are a first-time cruiser and really nervous and you have a ton of money, I would not book with the cruise ship directly. I would search out these 2 websites and have a better cruise with less people, less waiting time for less money. I hope this works out. Let us know in the comments if you've done something like this and it's worked out, or if it hasn't and we are wrong. And please like and subscribe. It would really help us out, and we will see you next time on The 4 Chains.